Hello and welcome to the Safing live stream.
Hey, welcome back.
It's been a while. I almost this week honestly forgot. It has been like a very intense week. A lot of stuff on my plate, a lot of work that was happening, and yeah, that's working. Okay, great. And so when I was like, I think this week we have live stream again. So we a little bit stumbled into this live stream, and to be honest, just started talking about what to talk about today. So big hello to you, Mike, as well. Thank you for being here and helping us through, especially live streams like these where we're not sure what to talk about. Mike is already on the Discord active. We, as always, have the Discord open as well as the YouTube live chat. So if you prefer the Discord, it is easier to search through stuff for the future and so forth. The link is in the description, but the YouTube live chat, of course, is also available. Thank you, Mike, confirming that the audio and video works well. Yeah, we have gotten into some routine. Again, like for us, the main issues are when I start trying things. That's when stuff potentially goes south. But as long as everything, it has been like fairly easy for us to do those live streams. It's like jumping on, having this hour booked in our calendar. It's no surprise. Also not today, but again, like it requires a little bit more time usually to sort of like think about a topic, think about what to talk about. And I guess we have an idea. I mean, you have not even said hello yet.
I did. I said welcome back.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I was confused by the back.
I'm just waiting for you to finish the intro.
Yeah. Finishing the intro. Welcome. Great. We're so excited to see y'all. And just basically we're open for questions. But you actually had some stuff that you wanted to share.
Yeah.
Some changing of thought and some approach updates.
Definitely. So we've been talking a while about kind of what we call the version 2 update, and we are having good progress. We're working heavily on the new kind of update system that's simpler, more robust, more resilient, will work better. Also will be easier to support better download options, especially for people far away from Europe. It's always an issue we've had with people from the Pacific area, Asia Pacific area, that had issues with download speeds. That's kind of coming together. That comes together with a new installers. So kind of we're changing how the whole files are handled. Everything is getting simpler, and kind of, but there are some changes there that kind of we really have to think through. And on the other side, we're working on the new kind of database stuff. And we kind of realized like how far ahead beta now is in regards to stable.
Yeah. And like how many months ahead?
Yeah. Not only versions, also in time. Yeah.
You're right, and we communicated that. So for everybody who's like new to this, like we try to be very open about this from the get-go.
Yeah.
We said this, we're doing some major changes currently already in beta. There's a new kernel extension we wanted to test extensively.
New app framework.
Exactly.
More stable, faster.
So this has been expected, but what we sort of started realizing was that even though this was expected and intended behavior, that it is like a long time in beta, we realized that it's might not wise to lump more things in there, and that before switching to V2, maybe.
Yeah, so version 2 is just version 2 because that's how kind of semantic versioning works. That means they're breaking changes, and we're thinking about, okay, how much of it can we get into version 1 still as a regular update in order to test it better and kind of get it faster to you. So we're kind of considering, okay, how can we this kind of one big package, how can we kind of split it up better in order to have more smaller updates instead of this one big one, kind of to give us better options to react also and kind of
Exactly.
better test stuff and kind of go one step at a time.
Yeah.
So we're considering putting what we have now in beta to stable rather soon, which is the new app, which is the new kernel extension.
App framework.
App
It
framework.
visually
it looks the same.
mostly.
We still have to
One exception.
figure out a little bit how we'll do this exactly,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a couple things that will change, and for the new installers, that will also change where files are located on disk on your computer, which means this is going to be tricky to kind of do in a non-disruptive way, meaning kind of you having to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of
Click on something.
run the installer.
Yeah.
Portmaster
Portmaster
just
would.
tapping everything in the background.
Yes. You don't have to go anywhere without you knowing. You don't have to look anything up. Portmaster will tell you. There's an update. You need to go there, maybe with some links and stuff like that. So don't be like, where do I need to check? Portmaster will tell you. I think especially like with the carousel, with the notifications, like the permanent notifications were, I guess, very good, and also pop-up notifications and stuff like that. When you said nothing will change, I guess like one of the more like the bigger improvements are that the notifier changes.
Yeah, that's a thing that kind of, that's also why it's better to
Run
do
an installer.
Run an installer.
Yeah.
So
It
we'll
gets
look into
cleanly
how
removed,
we'll look into
the old
how
one.
to do this the best way. But yeah, so there are things coming. If you are unstable and you've realized there haven't been any updates lately, that's the reason. There's a lot of stuff going on in beta. Please, if you're watching this live stream, you're probably a bit more involved than just having installed Portmaster once and forgot about it, because it runs so smoothly in the background. So please come join the beta. Beta is quite stable, so it runs well.
Yeah.
So a lot of people run beta,
Yeah.
and it works well. And we have this beta channel on the Discord, so if anything breaks, we have a very close feedback loop, and we can push updates out and fix things immediately. So that works very well. Thank you to everyone who already is on beta. It's amazing to have you and help us test and make this stable and a very resilient platform.
100%. One thing, if you're installed beta, just to let you know, because we got this question several times now. Yes, there are 2 notifiers in the tray, like tray icons. That's, again, intentional. You will need to run the installer to get rid of the old one, so to speak. And this will, of course, then happen when we have the new installers and stuff like that. So this is part of it. Thank you, Turok. Thank you for first tell us that you like what we do with Portmaster. Always super cool to hear that from people. And please, if you are interested in the beta, again, consider maybe being on Discord as well. We are open for helping via email also and stuff like that. It does not have to be Discord. We understand that not everybody likes Discord, but it is like, there are so many people. It's over 2,000 people are on the Discord already. So there are so many people who can help you. Not everybody of those are on beta, but lots of people are. They can help. And it's a super cool community, especially like for those who don't know, we're in Austria, so Europe, and when we go to sleep and then all the people in North America wake up and have issues, those people can help much easier. And it's so cool to see that. Thomas asked about Portmaster integrations and plugins and stuff like that. With the new build system, we actually want to make it easier for people to start
to contribute to the core. That's something we're working on. We can already build almost everything, and we're working on actually building everything in CI. That's really exciting. Well, not everything, because
the
some stuff like the kernel extension won't work, and also like the intelligence data, like the GOP database and the filter list. That stuff is kind of live built by our system. That doesn't make sense to build for yourself.
Yeah.
But if you could, if you really, really want to, you can, of course, attempt that too.
Yeah.
But that will be more work. But yeah, you can build the core and kind of the core components yourself. But we don't have a plugin system per se yet. There's a concept for it, but it's not yet there to be implemented. So we're not sure kind of where to go with that exactly. But what exists right now is we have an API, so both kind of a REST API on the one side, and also we have you can have database access to kind of the data stored within Portmaster, so you can get the same access as the UI has. So it's quite easy to build a kind of plugin, kind of additional user interface or something in that direction. And there's an page on the docs about that. And of course, you can just inspect our current source code for the UI. That will also
give you some hints.
And
show you the ropes and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I don't know if that's what you were asking for, Thomas, but you can respond to that. Thomas just responded that he's looking into packet capture analysis as a plugin. That's interesting. There are concepts for that, so it could work, but that's nothing you can plug in right now. That's something you could customize.
Yeah. And if you're interested in maybe doing depending on how knowledgeable you are, we're super open for getting a specification together. Get in touch. Let's create a specification. We help you in regards to what you need to look at, what parts of the code might be interesting for you, where you should focus. And if we agree on a specification and a pull request comes in, we can merge it quicker and stuff like that. So reaching out in advance time is super cool. That is how we'd like it. And just reach out either via mail or via, I don't know, whatever method you prefer. There's also a matrix. Link is on the Wiki, I think, maybe in the description as well. Not 100% sure, but there for sure is one on the Wiki. So you can get in touch through all those means, or just write us on Mastodon or somewhere. If you want to get a hold of one of us. I quickly wanted to address what Turok was asking with regards to the beta as well. There is a guide on the Wiki how to change. There is no beta installer. So you only have to switch release channels inside Portmaster. Then it downloads the beta and installs it. And through that same method, you can revert back to stable afterwards as well. So you never have to uninstall anything. You can always do it inside Portmaster, and that has worked very well for the last years. So if you have issues, just revert back to stable, and it reverts everything back. And if you want to try the new beta, switch to beta, you have to wait to download all the thing, and then it just goes along. So nothing to uninstall, nothing to install in that regard. So you're good to go. And if you uninstall and reinstall, I think it should default to stable. Depending on some stuff maybe, but there is a way.
If you keep the data, it also keeps the config file, which can have your setting in there that you want to be in beta.
You can edit the config file as well. Stuff like that, guides and explanations are on the Wiki, or you can always ask on the Discord. There are a couple of people who have done that before. This used to be more important for people who are on older Windows systems like Windows 7 and so forth, where we said, well, you can fork your way around some stuff. Not recommended, but you can edit that.
Thomas just asked about version 2. So version 2 is just not about new features like front end. It's about big changes in the back end, where we want to simplify things and stabilize things. So it's more like kind of a breaking change release, not a look at all these cool new features release. So that's kind of bound to two things. First, we want to change the database that PortMaster uses, and that it requires a one-time migration, and then you're on the new version. And the second is that we want to update how and where PortMaster installs to, so kind of we better integrate with Linux distros, but also Windows, kind of have a cleaner view of which data goes where, because right now there's just one folder for everything, for binaries and data and everything. Yeah. Of course, that's easy for us for development and everything, but it doesn't conform to how operating systems would like to have it, and can also lead to incompatibilities with certain Linux distros that love to do their kind of special security and stuff, which is great, as long as everybody coheres to the standard, and that's kind of the step we want to take.
Yeah. And that's why
that's kind of breaking change, because we want to change all the paths and everything. So that's kind of breaking change. And what we've been discussing today is that we'll push the breaking change part out a bit further and start releasing stuff that we wanted to put out in version 2. We're going to release earlier as version 1, kind of in a way that's compatible, so we can get more people that more users there. Yeah. Have it test better and take smaller steps instead of big ones.
And in your questions regard version 2 and if there is information or docs or stuff out there, we sort of like moved away from doing blog posts on future releases. We're like, the best way to get to know about what we're up to is through the live streams, and the reason for that for us was that we like in this setting, I guess people understand understand better the context, how we think about stuff, what we're currently working on, and what we're working towards. And even small things in blog posts, like us telling people, well, this might happen, or on this condition, then that would happen. People to this day throw stuff at me and tell me, well, I said, and I'm like, read through the whole blog and then tell me again what I actually said and stuff like that. It's just easier like this, and I feel like I have not gotten thrown stuff at me, and I'm not asking for it from the live chats, because I feel like the people who are watching are genuinely interested in understanding what we're up to, not just trying to figure out if we're already working on the thing they are rooting for. And again, like with all of this, so there is no documentation or like blog post where we are announcing stuff preemptively. There will be one when it's out, and then we tell people what has happened. That's how we're thinking about writing stuff. Sometimes the wiki gives some glimpses into the future as well, because again, like on the wiki are people who are looking for information, who are interested and curious. And sort of like we learned over the years to be a little bit selective on what information to put where, and giving assumptions about future stuff always has been, like, even with GitHub issues, like I think yesterday I closed an issue where somebody was like, well, it has been a year, is there an update on this? And we were like, we would like to, and back then in the issue, if you read into the history, we're like, we would love to do it, we have ideas about it, and we will consider in the future, you know. It never said that we're going to do that. And getting stuff thrown at us that we would love to do, it's just not not what we do.
And also, like in the live, it's really a lot better to give all this context and understand like how things change, like how things come up, and we have to adapt to things. So I think it gives a lot better impression of how we work, what our values are, on what we deem more important, and why things happen and other things don't. And I like it. I think it's a very good format how to communicate. Of course, it's not as easy as looking up a roadmap somewhere. Of course.
But again, like a roadmap,
we are a small team.
Exactly, and the roadmap is nothing that we, in this way, is nothing that we want to adhere to. again, like what you just said, like we initially thought we're going to release the installer, the new database, the new UI, and all of these things together. And now we made so many other changes along the way because they were useful or because we saw that we needed them as well to stay compatible and to have everything working smoothly. And now we're adapting, and now we're saying, okay, good, we will pull some things in now and push the breaking change further away from where we're currently at and stuff like that. So that's just like adaptive, agile development, you know. Well, quickly I wanted to address what OK was saying. Just found about, so OK wrote on YouTube, just found out about Portmaster the other day. I'm surprised how this isn't more popular because it seems very solid. Again, we have a 2,000 people Discord. I think, depending on what you consider popular, I like the traction that Portmaster has been getting over the recent months and years.
Yeah.
GitHub stars, we're approaching 10,000 GitHub stars, which is super cool, super amazing. It seems like, I don't know, not yesterday, but it seems like very recent when we surpassed the 2-3K mark, and now we're almost at 10K.
Yeah. And
I guess it's depending in which area you are, people are talking more about Portmaster. I sometimes, when I'm joining a new Discord server, just for the lols, just search for Portmaster, and it's always funny what I find. So it really is super cool. So I guess Portmaster has been getting more and more to replace and surpass for a lot of people things like Simplewall. We surpassed them in GitHub stars a long time ago, and we're on track to surpass them on likes on Alternative too. So lots and lots of stuff where we're getting the new or the established solution for firewall and privacy needs.
And it just takes time also. Yeah. So it's kind of mostly word of mouth how kind of we grow, and here and there are reviews or videos or posts somewhere in some forum. So I remember what was that? We had installer download spike for some reason, and we couldn't figure out where that was coming from.
Yeah.
And I think only months later, someone of us got some kind of search engine alert for some post in a Polish forum written in Polish. We're like, hey, wait a second. That could have been that. So it's really fun, how that works, and it's just growth, and sometimes growth spikes, and most times it doesn't. It just grows slowly, and one day we hope that Portmaster is all over the world and is giving privacy to tons of people. That's the vision we have, and it's great to see that we are working towards it. Of course. It's always kind of the wish. There's always the wish that things would go faster, but that's just how things are. And it's nice that we're growing and not kind of losing users. So we kind of the terabytes of data we ship out for updates every month just keeps increasing. So.
Yeah,
that's always a good indication. If we have to pay extra for traffic, that downloads are actually happening. So that's that's a good indication.
Mike just said word of mouth is effective. There's more talk about privacy happening. That's true. And when OK was writing in the YouTube chat that he's talking about people talking about Portmaster, Michael Bazell, in his book about extreme privacy, this is the 2021 edition, so 3 years old, already recommended Portmaster in there. So we have been in the revisions. I think there have been at least one, maybe two revisions of this book by him. So the one with the black and white bars, we're also in that one that came out later and so forth. So I feel like It's just
it's gaining traction. Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah.
it's where are you looking, what are you looking for, and if you're not looking into firewalls, I guess Portmaster won't be recommended, and you need to sort of like have that step to understanding what am I looking for, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think what we should maybe aim for a little bit more is the Pi-hole crowd, but that is a different kind of people. They already know, they own a Pi, they're willing to go to the command line and stuff like that, install and set up network devices. So Portmaster is sort of like for those people who might think they want a Pi-hole, but actually like want it easier. And on the go as well, of course. Like if you have it on a mobile device, Portmaster goes with you. So none of that remoting and VPNing into your home network and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
we're still getting there because you just dropped mobile here, like on the side note.
no,
So-
laptops.
Okay, laptops you meant. Okay.
Yeah,
good,
no,
good.
when you're on the move with your
Yeah.
laptop in the internet cafe or something,
Yeah, definitely.
Portmaster
And-
is there. Your Pi-hole isn't.
Yeah. So, and I think it's interesting if we kind of look at kind of what users contact us. We have kind of the users that know very little, and I think they Portmaster caters to them quite okay. Of course, we know there are a couple of things that could be better. And then we have kind of experts that kind of go into and like get the technology and kind of connect the dots. And a lot of people kind of in the middle where a lot of confusion comes up, where kind of they already Pi-hole users, then they want to combine the Pi-hole with Portmaster and their other DNS and this other thing. And that's kind of where things get tricky. And yeah, so it's very different kind of how different communities react to Portmaster.
Yeah.
And that kind of may also impact kind of how we're covered.
Yeah, true.
And stuff like that. So,
But we have a very cool community, so come and join us on our
definitely,
Discord.
definitely.
It's growing,
Yeah.
and again, like so many cool people who are very helpful and very kind, and patient most of the time. Most of the time. But yeah, you will find some help over there. Hi, Mad Scientist. Just wanted to react for that as well. And Thomas asked, he's new to the SPN idea, and could we explain the motivation for using SPN versus just the IP from an ISP? You want to quickly?
Sure.
I'm waiting on what Mike is writing.
Yeah. So the SPN grew out of the need that, VPNs don't really cut it privacy-wise. It's really difficult for VPNs to somehow prove that what they're doing is actually helpful. There are a lot of security experts that advise against using a VPN because in most cases it won't really do any good. And you have a huge VPN industry, and most of them just lie about what the VPN does for you.
Yeah.
They just lie about it so plainly. There are a couple good
Better ones.
There are a lot of bad ones and a few good ones that actually are
Yeah.
honest about what a VPN can do, honest about their work, and actually have great technology. Because VPN in itself is made for a very different purpose than privacy.
Yes.
It wasn't built for privacy, it's kind of repurposed for privacy. And that means there are a lot of problems associated with it that all the VPN companies have to kind of then fix with patches on them, and it's just weird.
Yeah. For instance, the hot thing that people like to use, WireGuard, assumes that you, as the individual setting up the tunnel, are in control of both ends, and it actually does require the key exchange and stuff like that. There's authentication and authorization, stuff like that, that assumes that there is no privacy need, because you want to actually make sure that nobody else is in there. So the WireGuard, super cool protocol, very lightweight, very but built even not for privacy, but for security.
Yeah. And so of course a VPN is always a network, which means it's just a opaque layer that goes both directions. So if you use a VPN provider who really don't know their stuff, you're actually opening yourself up to more attacks. and that's not good additionally. So that's kind of the one side, and the other side is that if you look at how to have like connection privacy on the internet, is of course Tor, kind of the go-to solution for like hardcore privacy, anonymity. And Tor is great, and they do a phenomenal job at what they're doing. And there are a lot of people that actually should use Tor and need to use Tor, and that's what that is for. But for kind of normal users that are just browsing the internet and just wanting to use your stuff, Tor is both overkill and slow, because they want more speeds and kind of speeds like doing lots of stuff.
You can address what OK was asking.
I'm gonna get to that in a second. So you kind of don't get the speed you want from Tor, plus you're making it worse for others who need it, probably more than you. So the S Pen is made to fit in between these two, to kind of actually be private, unlike the VPN, but actually be easy to use and practically impossible to misconfigure, unlike Tor. And that's kind of the niche where SPN fits in between. It has the multi-server onion encryption, so there's really no link between you and the data that goes out the last server. And we have a separate authentication mechanism that uses blinded signatures, so unlike VPN servers, you don't send your username to the server you're connecting to, which identifies you as who you are. So like, so there are a lot of kind of details in there that are made to actually correctly protect you, but in a convenient way. So that's where the SPN is going. Including
community notes, maybe to quickly add this in there as well, which are also then, like you see...
It's not just our servers.
Exactly. And it's a mix of nodes as well, so you don't have to, like, as soon as a connection, and I think you did not mention this, but a difference as well is that with SPN, you're spread around the network also, so you're getting multiple IP addresses at the same time, something that neither Tor nor VPN do. So you're like exit each like application, each service, each domain can get like a new exit, and you can change that to a certain degree. You technically can do more. So if you would like to get into this, also super interesting stuff. You can do per domain rules, but there's not a UI for it at the moment.
So technically we could, but...
Which is why you can exclude a simple domain. You can have, for instance, Steam, everything in there, and I think that's how I get to OK's question here. You can have Steam included in SPN and everything goes through it, but the downloads maybe you want to exclude. And the reason for that is that SPN, again, is in this in-between. It does like encrypt everything, so there is a cost to the speed, and we aim to have per connection, and this is also important because it's not like a VPN, just everything goes through one tunnel. Each connection gets its own route. You can only measure per connection the speeds at best. If you run a speed test, you're only testing that one connection. You're not testing your overall speed, but you can exclude stuff as well. So if you're like want to browse privately, but you don't care what that like your ISP sees, what you're downloading from Steam, exclude it. The DNS request is routed through the SPN anyway, and it will only see that you're downloading from Steam, basically. Based on IP addresses and so forth. So you can exclude stuff, and the minimum speed we're aiming for is 30 Mbit. So 30 Mbit is 4K buffer-free streaming, which is like regular use for most people, just stream without buffering. And it's per connection again. So this is not saying that you cannot do stuff next beside that at the same speed as well. You can have multiple streams open, 4K and so forth. But if you're, for instance, downloading stuff you will see a certain point where it gets like where you see speeds getting not much higher. Sometimes we have people who are saying, well, I get upload speeds of above 100 Mbits.
Yeah, it's really hard to measure, and we get so different responses. Some people are like, it's really bad, and some are like, it's awesome. And it's really hard to diagnose that. But if you have a string of servers that are good and kind of are not overloaded at the moment,
for that
you
connection,
can definitely get north of 100 Mbits.
I have a 300. I have a 300 Mbit download available at home, and I see 300 Mbits through SPN.
So it really depends on the exact server configuration, like where you're going to, and so there's so many factors, and a lot more with SPN in network speeds and everything. It's really hard, and the speed tests are like often, like depending on which one you're using, they're really weird because of course what they do is they look for the nearest server to you, so they measure the least amount of path possible. So in some cases, your own ISP will have a server hosted, so you won't even go through the real internet. You just measure the connection between yourself and the ISP's headquarters. And it's like, well, is that the speed you're trying to test? I'm not sure about that. So that's also kind of to keep in mind, like the complexity of the internet and routing, and you going through 3 servers and then going to the destination for testing speed. So.
And managing such a network, of course, gave us a better insight to all of that. Like we see transatlantic connections in the SPN, and you can look into that as well. Thomas, thank you for telling us that you upgraded to Pro.
Nice.
If you're curious, you can go into the SPN map and look. I think you need to be in advanced view, top right corner. You can go into advanced. Then you can go into each node and look what nodes it's connected to. And you see the speeds between each node. You can look at that. And your portmaster, of course, like it's displaying it to you. It knows all that information, and it takes that into consideration when mapping out a path. So what you have been saying, like if you have a pick of 3 nodes and that connection goes through there, typically when the connection gets established, Portmaster will look for the best connection. And
so it takes everything into account. So it has a full location, network state locally, and then it kind of calculates looking at the latencies between servers and bandwidth and everything, and kind of it actually calculates a full list of possible connections to your destination, and kind of if using multiple exits, so trying to find every possible way, and then picking kind of the best or one of the best ones for a little bit of load balancing. So it actually tries to use any information it has to pour into that and optimize it however it can.
And of course, like because each portmaster does that individually, and with all the users who are already in SPN and stuff like that, it can happen that 2 are deciding for a similar exit node or middle hot node or whatever, and then that one gets hit pretty badly. And while we try to not cut connections which are already open, because you would have to reestablish a new link. If both of you, for instance, start a download on the same, I don't know, GitHub repository, and it's the same server, because location is also something that SPN takes into consideration. We try to exit as close to the destination as possible to keep the connection in the ClearNet as short as possible, so that the least amount of ISPs on the internet, because it's not just yours, it's other ones later down the road, of course, as well, see that connection. So that's a consideration. It's part of the whole thing. It won't pick a very overloaded server that is super close. It will pick a fast one that's a little bit further back.
But there's also delays in there. So it's not just that it will happen immediately, because that's just too much data to constantly
push that
everywhere.
Of course as well.
So there are kind of delays, but there are kind of mechanisms to detect broken servers, overloaded servers. So kind of the network, like there's a lot of self-management, self-healing, in order kind of to stay alive and serve our users best.
Yeah, but again, like, so it will pick that one, and if both of you are starting the same download, it might happen that you see a drop in the speed and stuff like that as well. So there are like many use cases we think that SPN is well suited for, and some there it's not as well suited.
We have a lot of ideas how to optimize that, but that kind of also requires scale. So what we like to do, for example, is we'd like to create a better connection between North America and Europe.
Yeah.
So what we'd love to do is kind of buy 2 10 gigabit servers on each side of the pond, and then kind of connect them, and then kind of have our own kind of backbone, which is awesome because the more people use the same connection, the more disguised the traffic will be.
Yeah. And
that's kind of unlike Tor, which just randomizes everything. We actually try to reduce the amount of connections in order to merge more traffic together.
And I actually did a Discord FAQ video about how we are different in packet sizes as well. So like the reason why this mixing also is super cool is because all the packets are the same size, and so the traffic from you is from at the moment
they're in size steps, I think.
In steps, but it's fixed and stuff like that. So if you look at this video, I think it's super cool explained that you see like it's all Mentos going from one server to the other one, and everything is the same size and stuff like that and so forth, fixed sizes. And so it is like like trying to follow one route through the SPN is super difficult. And you can also look at the white paper, fairly old at this point, but still like the idea is
the core concept.
The core concept is still good and valid. It's on safing.io, and you scroll to the bottom, and in there you will find a disclaimer that it's when we wrote the white paper, it was not called SPN yet, but take a look there.
So there are, of course, this is a complex system, and one decision we've made, we're not sure if it was the best one, is that we'll actually terminate connections locally to transfer only the data, which gives us a lot more freedom, packet sizes, and all that stuff. But the downside of that is that we have to do our own like congestion control and traffic flow control, which isn't perfect at the moment, and that's definitely the thing where we need to improve, and that's why sometimes things can seemingly hang, and you need either wait a little bit or kind of reset the SPN. So it can happen at sometimes. It shouldn't happen often.
Exactly. So mad scientist, but for your issue, please reach out via mail. Love to see the debug information. You can have a look on the debug information before sending it. We have minimal information in there. I sometimes have to request more information to get into details. So please reach out. This is like, if you have to do it all the time, that's not.
It's weird that you have to do it after we start EPC. It's interesting.
I'm currently I'm on Fedora. I'm not sure if it's famous, but like I think I mention it on every other live stream, so at least once a month.
Possibly.
I had issues with some mirrors as well. This was not due to SPN. It happened no matter if it's installed or not. And Mad Scientist, just so you know, it might be a DNS stuff as well. It very often is DNS. Had a conversation with a fellow in a country where he had issues with his, where he clearly already identified that DNS is the issue, and I was just like, well, then try one of the other servers, you know. We're not hosting our own DNS, so try one of the other ones. There are quick settings, and on the wiki there's an extensive list of DNS servers, so you can always go into the wiki and look for alternatives. This is, of course, also like the default is Cloudflare, because that's globally a good option. Not just not necessarily for privacy, but
there might be a local better option for you.
Exactly.
Find out and pick it.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. Mike said, keep me in the loop about the US Euro connection. That's a cool project. Yeah, we can, of course, and Fedora. Yeah, well, Mike always has to mention that he's on Fedora as well. But yeah, we understand each other. Mad scientists can ask on Discord, not derail your stream. Oh yeah, sure. No, please do. Yeah. I was having difficulties comprehending what derail there. No, but sure. No, ask on Discord or send an email. Again, like email is also super cool because then we have a ticketing system. If you ask now on Discord, I probably won't have the time to answer you now. So if you, maybe somebody else will answer, but if you would do it via mail also, then it's in the private bin. It's like you can do it from inside Portmaster.
As you like.
And of course, like debug information usually is only useful like when the issue happened. Like then it is only then it's in there. If it's too far gone, then it's...
so debug info is kind of a snapshot of what is going on right now. And of course, the most helpful is when you kind of click on or gather the debug info at the point when it's kind of broken. And if your connection is broken at the moment, you can just go to the report a bug page. It will load the debug info. Then you can do whatever you need to do to fix your connection again. Then go back and it should be cached there. So it should stay there and you can then send it. So we'll still have the information from that point in time.
Yeah. Super cool. And you're not derailing the live stream. It's getting closer to the end, so please get your questions in. Do you have something like we have been on a long side quest? Do you want to share some more stuff about what the update stuff will look like, or have you already said everything?
Yeah, we've talked about kind of a couple of things that are in beta. So already in beta are the new kernel extension, which is a lot of improved, rewritten in Rust. We had a recent report about a blue screen, but I think it was our first. So internal is very stable. Not sure, we can't figure out where that comes from, because from the information we've gotten, the point where it fails doesn't make any sense, absolutely. And so we're unsure what it actually means and if the report is correct. But in general, beta is very stable at the moment. Please come and join. We're testing a new UI framework, which means Stable is still using Electron, and we know how we ourselves and other people absolutely hate Electron. So we're moving that from Electron to whatever the operating system provides.
Using Tauri.
WebView using Tauri, which just was released in version 2, so that's really nice. So we can...
it's written in Rust for all the people who care about that.
Yeah, exactly. So again, Rust. And so I think these were the two big ones that are already in beta. And already in beta is also kind of a more robust kind of internal structure module system. We're simplifying and making the database system internally more robust. But the database switch will only happen with version 2 sometime later.
Exactly.
And the last...
No promises on timelines.
Yeah, so that's currently happening, and the other thing currently happening are like the whole update installer thing. So we want to switch from kind of just having one installer and then doing live updates. Want to switch to a model where you can also do live updates if you want to, but the main thing will be installers, which will make it a lot easier for some Linux distros, and also will make it easier to offline install and everything. Yeah. So,
especially immutable distros.
Yeah, it's about stability, compatibility, resilience, and all that. So, also kind of better download speeds for installers and updates and everything. So kind of there's a lot of stuff packed into that new update system and installer system.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on right now.
And maybe you can then elaborate. Like Thomas had a great question. Do you each have a favorite feature or optimization or removal you're looking forward to?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
It is. It is.
I know the feature you're looking forward to.
He does. He does.
Go on.
And we're not currently working on it. We're not currently working on it. But he knows because it has been on my list of stuff. And if I would not, like, if we would not have to consider priorities and stuff like that and just like can do whatever we like, I think that feature would have been done like years ago. SPN, because you already said we're doing traffic control and congestion system and all of that stuff, we have to, like, because of the way it's set up, we have to do that anyway. We could theoretically allow for multiple internet connections to work simultaneously. So you are using your phone as well as your Wi-Fi, like phone via USB and tethering, and Wi-Fi via your regular cable connection, whatever, at the same time, splitting traffic between two ISPs.
Plus yours, what's it called?
Starlink?
Starlink, exactly, dish.
Whatever, yeah.
So you have 3 connections at the same time.
Yeah, and maybe you hack your neighbor's Wi-Fi also and
Yes.
stuff like that. So you're splitting your traffic between ISPs, making traffic analysis at that point like so hard. And also, of course, increasing your total bandwidth. Of course, we have not built it. I would assume that sometimes delays might be introduced because of using different technologies.
It can become weird to some extent.
Exactly.
But
it would be so cool. It would be so cool. And so yeah, that is of course what I'm looking for, and that's the reason why he already knew what I would be saying if I'm
you
asked
mentioned
this
often
question.
enough. Yeah.
Often enough, yeah. But again, like we have not started this. This is just theoretically possible. And again, like because like I think it's. Okay, so how do we just maybe quickly before, and I want to give you more time, or do you already have?
I know already, but
okay.
Go on.
I think that when we're considering new features and stuff like that, it's not just what is cool for us. It's also what people understand as features. When we are talking with people, I guess not a lot of people are comfortable with limited data on their like SIM cards to do that. So it is a cool feature in theory, but in practice, I understand that most people would not use it. And of course, like would not like switch to SPN for that and stuff like that, because like then again, like with the speed limitations, having only 30 Mbit per connection anyway and stuff like that. So it does not really make sense right now. And I don't think that it, and that therefore it does not make sense for us to do it. So that's part of it. But I still love it, and I still think we should do it at one day. You know, who knows? Who knows? In 10 years. So what's your feature?
So what I like the most is actually how routing works in SPN, and kind of how, like with all this data, ProMaster has about the network. How it can decide kind of which connections to use and which not to use. I really like kind of how that turned out as a great system. So I just love there is a API endpoint that you can use to simulate routing decisions. So you can tell it kind of where to route to, and it'll give you a list kind of like how it did that, how it selected the direct destination IPs, like what are the routes, what are the destination, the exit servers, and why did it like ignore some, and then it goes through the routes it found, and why like what are the community costs, calculated costs for these routes, why did it ignore others. So I just love all the routing stuff. That's kind of that's my nerd feature.
So we're both on the network stuff in that regard. Super cool.
It's just kind of it's the stuff that actually shines. That's kind of that's the technology that makes us unique. Yes, we're a firewall because that just makes privacy, and that works together just so well. But others have firewalls too, but no one has SPN. I just love it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, asked an interesting question.
Yeah, I read it. So that's really good. So we have community nodes in there, and okay, asked like,
Do you want to read
what's
the
the
question?
view? Kind of what are the chance of bad actors hosting community nodes? Of course, that's a possibility we took into account
From the get-go.
From the get-go, and
Because
how
it's an
we
issue with
tackle
Core.
that right now is really simple.
Yeah.
So entry nodes, so home nodes, as we call them, have so. Okay, I'll take one step back. There's a concept of trusted nodes. So trusted nodes are nodes that are known to be good and trusted. So either from us or people that we've verified and we trust them. And
No. It's safing nodes and nodes that you can decide to trust.
also that, but like
Verified
until now,
nodes are not trusted by default.
No, sorry.
I think you're jumped a little here. That's the reason why I'm saying it.
That's true. I use the term that okay. So
Trusted
there are trusted nodes and there are nodes that are verified.
Yes.
That doesn't. The verification doesn't imply trust. Verification means we've seen them.
We're in
We've
contact
communicated with them. It's not just random guy.
And-
so we know it's them. We have a contact.
Yeah.
And trust is something different.
Yeah.
And right now, I think only safing nodes are trusted.
Yes.
I don't think we have already established such a partnership. Okay, let's keep it easy. Let's just do safing nodes. So entry home nodes are only safing nodes because these nodes are that see your original IP address. We want to protect that from community nodes. So entry nodes are always safing nodes unless you trust nodes. You can manually do that. You can manually trust either a whole group or specific nodes.
We make it easy for verified. That's part of the thing. Like
so verified nodes are easier to add than non-verified nodes.
Exactly.
And so the middle node is free to choose, and then the exits are depending on what type of connection you are. If you are, if the connection is encrypted, so using HTTPS, then it may use a community node. If it's not as an exit.
Yeah.
If it's not encrypted, so just HTTP, for example, it is not allowed to use a community node. It uses only trusted nodes, so safing nodes. So that way we can ensure that within the SPN context, nobody kind of mangles your traffic and nobody attacks you by changing your traffic. Of course, that can happen afterwards, but that's the same with normal internet. And with our routing model to bring you the closest to the destination, we minimize that risk as far as we can.
Yeah.
And so kind of everything that touches sensitive information or data only is allowed to be done by our nodes, and everything else also can be done by community nodes. And that's kind of where we, similar to VPN, are kind of a trust anchor. Yeah. So there is, of course, you need to trust us to some extent, but we try to reduce that as much as we can through technology, through governance.
Yeah. And of course, like you can look in the privacy policy.
And the source code, of course.
And the source code and stuff like that. So we are not logging, tracking anything. But when people are asking about like, why don't we write it only in our privacy policy and not somewhere else, is because what we are building is privacy by design and not privacy by policy. Again, like the whole SPN is built that way. And so that's partly why we're not scared about like bad actors. We basically we had to design it from the get-go with the assumption that there will be bad actors in the SPN. And that's why it's designed like it is, to be private by design. And we cannot verify what they're logging, we cannot verify what they're doing, like any community node. And so we built the SPN with the assumption that they could and would, and how can we minimize what they're seeing, and at the same time develop value for everybody who's using it, because there still is value. Again, like Tor is used even though there are corrupted nodes in the Tor network, because like depending on how you use it, and like again, Tor is, when people argue beyond that step, maybe. I'm not saying it is. Again, like we're a competing product, of course, so take my assumption here with a grain of salt.
Well,
but we
to some
decided
extent, I think.
because like we are a trust anchor as well, that has a drawback. But we tell you who the different nodes are. The verification program separates entities from another. And again, like you can always, you are in control. If you have your own SPN node that you trust, you can set it on trusted, and you do not send out anything that you're trusting in. This is local, and everybody can decide. And we're like, okay, good. We want to put the control back to everybody so they can make decisions and give them as much information as they can have. Like you see the data center where it's at, and you can look at that. You see the IP address of the nodes, and you can make your own decision if it's good or not. And again, like for our nodes, you can also don't trust one of our nodes and put them on the exclude list. Also an option if you don't like it. But again, like we're taking care of all our nodes, and they're all trusted by default. And you can add to that as you want.
Yeah, if you start excluding nodes, more than a couple, please, if stuff starts to fail, please have a close look in the in the port master, because at some point connections will just fail to like establish because port master cannot find a route anymore to that server. So that's a bit tricky. Because there's the connection, you can't just freely choose how to hop, because there are servers establish connections to each other and you can use them. Yeah. And they're measured and they're published and everything. Yeah. So if you kill too many servers, you can kind of separate the network for yourself and kind of kill your capability of routing through the network. Or it will become a lot slower because suddenly you need not only 3 hops, but a lot more.
And some with bad connections. When you go into details, you will see that there are some very slow connections between nodes, and this is because, like, for communication and stuff, it is advantageous to have more connections which are slower. Again, your port master will not choose them if it does not have to. So that's sort of like how this is working as well. We're at 4:00, so I'd like to wrap up. I saw. Did you read what OK?
Yeah, I read the question, but I'm not sure. So in the UI, nodes are clearly marked if they're trusted or not. So you can see that. Right now, it's only safing nodes. So I'm not sure what you mean with the largest pool of connections, but you can look at all the details in the UI. So you see everything.
Exactly. Everybody who has an SPN account sees the state of the network, which is of course important, because then you can like route for it again. Like,
if anyone is interested, you can just kind of go on Discord and ask, and we'll just post a screenshot how it looks at the moment. If you're curious.
I think Esco does that on the Wiki from time to time as well. We have people in the community. Again, also super interesting. I think we have not mentioned that in a while. The Wiki is a community wiki. There are people from our community writing posts, doing stuff, and Esco, for instance, super cool member of the community, does updates like with how many SPN nodes there are, in what countries they are, which part are community nodes, which part are safing nodes, and stuff like that. That's on the Wiki. You can search for it in there as well. So go for it if you're interested. Mike said, "Privacy by design" is a great tagline. Yeah, I think we are using it. I don't know. I have been saying that for the longest time. I'm not sure if it's written somewhere, but I like it as well. Yeah, because like it's the difference between what like a lot of people are doing privacy by policy and what we're doing privacy by design, trying to have you not having to trust what we're saying, but can verify with the code that's publicly available.
I'll just quickly answer OK's question. So yes, safing nodes. Well. Not all nodes advertise, so some nodes, or at least our nodes, if you just enter the IP address in your browser, it will get a page about, oh, this is an SPN node, what does it mean, like, and kind of it explains the concept, because if admin sees weird stuff coming from that IP address, they'll just look it up, maybe try to access it, see what's there, and they will, okay, there's an explanation there. So they kind of, it gives also contact information and stuff like that. And community nodes can enable that too.
Yeah.
And so, but not all nodes do that.
Yeah.
More or less, it'll probably be obvious to some extent this is safing. Or not, depending on the server.
Yeah. And of course, there will always be entities who don't like what we're doing, but we want to be transparent about that again, because if it's misunderstood, it can be assumed that what is happening is a bad thing. But we want to be in contact, and people have reached out in the past and tried to figure out who we are and what we're doing, and they're typically very understanding and are like, okay, this is a cool thing, we want to be part of it as well, and stuff like that. And some good interactions came out of this. So privacy is, I think, getting an uptick again, in regards to how people are talking about it and how people care and stuff like that. So, which is super cool, and I like that.
That's true.
Okay. Also, okay.
We're over.
We're over.
Doesn't happen too often.
Lately not, but it has been a super cool conversation.
It was cool, yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being joining. Thomas, again, if you want to get involved in helping with coding something, reach out. I guess email is the best option there. Then the two of us can interact with it as well. Support at Safing, and we will answer it. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks to everyone who is subscribed and supporting us. That's what makes all this possible, and we love doing it. So we hope we get the more the merrier.
True, absolutely. And we will be back in 2 weeks.
Yes,
2 weeks, I think. Maybe there a little note. I think in Portmaster only put in 2 dates for this month, even though it's 3 Thursdays.
Yeah, 3, but we weren't sure, right, about the one.
Yeah, we were not sure. We will we will try to do the cadence every other week.
We'll update it as soon as we know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that something happens in between, but not having a Thursday like this is sometimes also interesting, having more time, But thank you for being with us. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to know from us, questions for in 2 weeks.
Definitely.
Or hop on the Discord or write us an email. Thank you.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
See you then.
Bye.